Well, welcome to Ichabod, and it took long enough, but I'm finally in trouble. I'm getting called into the principal's or maybe the pastor's office in this episode. One of my frequent conversations with Christian guests and frequent Facebook commenters will be on, and is going to hold me accountable for some of my ratchet Facebook posts tonight. So I'm looking forward to this. But I'm glad you guys are here, and sorry to say, I'm still fighting this cough, and I've got all kinds of people giving me all kinds of remedies and oil of oregano. I should be taking this, and I should be doing that, and I'm doing some of the stuff, but it's still here. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, I'm glad to be here with you in this episode. I want to give a shout out to everybody who continues to rock with the channel. So all the Patreon supporters, much love. My heart goes out to you for the way that your heart has gone out to this channel. I appreciate the comments, people who just chime in and say how much this little small community has meant to them, to people who knew me on the other side back when I was a believer, and now they have deconverted and they're catching me on this side. And it's comforting, it's humanizing even to see people on this side of it and be able to say, yeah, you were not wrong for thinking that you had been wrong when you were a Bible believing, Jesus worshiping, gospel preaching Christian. We have gotten away from that. We have seen the error of our ways, and I wanted to remain public, just as a living testimony that you can course correct. You can get in your 30s, you can get in your 40s, you can get in your 50s, you can get in your 60s and say, it's not too late for me to change my mind and change my life. And I often say to people, it's 2025 now. I began my deconstruction in 2025. It amped up around 2018, 2019. But I still am, to this very day, daily deconstructing, challenging myself to not see the world in superstitious ways. The other day, my sister, she might be watching now, I had a dream that my sister, she works for the post office. I had a dream that she got attacked at work. I didn't even tell her the details. I had a dream that she got attacked at work. Somebody wielding a knife had attacked her. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought to myself, I should call and check on her. And as I'm laying in bed thinking I should call and check on her, I had to ask myself, why? Why would you call and check on her? Do you really think that there's some connection between what happened in your mind when you were sleeping and what's going on with her out in the real world? Now, even as a Christian, I don't know if I would have thought that my dream meant something, but there's still this superstitious, everything happens for a reason and there must be a purpose and there must be a this. And as I laid in bed, fearing for my sister, because I woke up with the fear still in me, I had to coach myself through it. Like, bro, you're tripping. Like it was a dream. She's fine. And it's not because I don't love my sister. I don't tell her often enough that I do love my sister, but it's not because I don't love her. I said, don't call her. Don't bother her about this. She's fine. And later that day, my mother came over. And when my mother came over, I remembered, oh yeah, I had that dream of my sister called, or maybe I called my sister while my mother was here. And as soon as I heard her voice, I remembered that dream. And I said, oh, you might find this funny because she has deconstructed and deconverted too, even though she says she never really got to the point of believing, but she wanted to believe and then she let it all go. But I said, you might find this funny. Please don't take it as a sign of me not loving you, but I had a dream about you last night. And we both laughed about the fact that I didn't call her to see if she was okay, because even she was on the same train of perish, perish the thought of me perishing because you had a dream. I'm saying all that just to say, 10 years into my deconversion and deconstruction, I'm still going through my mind and picking out the pieces of superstition and having to let these things go. Daily, I run across things that make me say, "Oh, remember you used to think like that? Or remember you used to believe that? Remember you used to do that?" And I'm having to put the mirror up and say, "You don't think that way anymore. You don't." Why am I saying this? Because here you are watching, and you're on the verge, and you might think and feel stuff that they be saying is it's like a pebble in my shoe, and I can't even walk comfortably anymore without thinking that I might be wrong about this faith thing. But I'm 35, I'm 40. I'm not going to deconvert. I'm not going to deconstruct. I'm not going to imagine you waiting another 5 years. Imagine you waiting another 10 years to start your process of something that I'm 10 years into and still deconstructing, still deconverting. What am I saying? I said all of that to simply say this. Start now. It's going to take you a long time to unharness yourself from the religious way of looking at life. And if you wait another 10 years just to get started, you're talking another 20 years possibly before you even get a handle on some things that it's going to take you a long time to deconstruct from. Anyway, that's my little plea. If you're on the fence and you're waiting for a sign, you stop waiting for a sign. The universe, a God, an angel, a demon, it's not going to happen from without. It's going to come from within. It's going to come from you saying, I want to believe true things, and I want to get rid of things that I can discard. And I'm going to do it now. No one's going to push that button for you. All right. That being the case, I'm off my soapbox. And let me run through the comments real quick, say what's up to a few folks. Hey, Eddie, what's good? My unique Monique, what's happening? Without Faith, Daryl Williams, good to see y'all. So I'm not going to scroll all the way up because I want to get my guest in. So would you please welcome to the Ichabod stage, back to the Ichabod stage. This is probably his 4th or 5th appearance on Ichabod. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just, before I go there, my unique Monique just put in the chat, grab a copy of Let There Be Gaslight. That's my book where I walk through why I do not believe the Bible and why I think anybody would have a good case for saying this is not true. This is not revealed from above. This came from below. This is man-made. I wrote an entire book walking through it. And I had a supporter. I hope she doesn't mind me saying her name. Sharon Good. I don't see her in the chat. She made a contribution, said she wanted to give out some free copies of the book. So if you're watching and you're on the verge of deconverting, but I know how it is, you don't want to spend your hard-earned money that you believe God blessed you with. You don't want to spend that on a book from an unbeliever. Well, guess what? Someone's already made the contribution. So if you feel like you want to read the book, Without Faith is Sharon Good. Okay. I'm so used to you popping in with the name Sharon Good. That's what's up. Thank you. If you want to read Let There Be Gaslight, I can either send you a copy of the physical book, I could send you a copy of the audio book, or I could send you a copy of the digital book, the ebook. If you want a copy of the book and you feel like you don't want to buy it because you don't want to support an unbeliever, but you're curious, you're questioning, send me a message, send me an email to ICHTHEPOD, ICHTHEPOD, ICHTHEPOD. I'm sorry, is it? Oh, it's Icha the Pod, Icha the Pod, ICHAPOD. Did I mess it up again? Yeah, ICHATHEPOD @gmail.com, and tell me why you would like to read the book, why you want a copy of the book. And I will likely see your reasoning and send you a copy of the book, digital, hard copy, or the audio book. And thank you, Sharon, for rocking with the channel and supporting, helping other people to think through things. And yeah. All right. No further ado. Please welcome back to Ichabod Paradox Kingdom, my guest, Steve Hernandez.
Yo,
What's up, man?
what's up?
What's up?
Try
So
to
I'm
do
in
my
trouble. I'm in the
Yes,
principal's office now.
yes. Finally made it
Uh,
in after all this time.
I think you might be one of the you might be the maybe not. I've heard some other folks. You might be the most vocal about it though. Um, people whose buttons I push when I post things on Facebook. And the last week, I think it was, I got this close to blocking you. I don't block people for nothing. I only block people for disrespect, or if I feel like we keep going around in circles and we're not getting anywhere, or it just ends up being a waste of time because I feel like the person isn't hearing me. I don't know if it's a failure of communication on my end or a misreading of me on their end. But if I feel like we just keep going in circles. I'm like, let me save you trouble and save me trouble because I want stress-free in my life right now. The conversations are not stress for me. I love them. But if we're not getting anywhere, I'm like, okay, this is stress. I don't need this. And so I was this close. Like, let me save us both some trouble. But
Yeah,
we've had good conversations, and then you hit me up just, I think, yesterday maybe,
I think it was yesterday. Yeah. I texted you yesterday.
and said, "Hey, won't we just get on and talk about some of your posts that I found?" What did you say? Cringy was the
The
word. You didn't
most
like using it,
cringy.
but
Yeah. I
most
said let's talk
cringy.
about
Talk about it.
some of your posts that were most cringy, and I said to me the word cringy is cringy. So put
Okay.
in parentheses. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So, but let me just ask you, if maybe not all of them are this way, but if there are enough of them that have made you feel like these are cringy. I know you feel like I take scripture out of context a lot, or I don't give a fair shake to the believing position or whatever. Why keep me on as a Facebook friend if I vex you to the degree that I do, as often as I do?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think, and we had this discussion and we might have it again tonight, but the idea is of an echo chamber, because I do want
Mhm.
to be challenged in my own
I
thinking.
forgot we had that conversation.
Yeah. So that we might bring up. And so that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation, because I feel when we do
Mhm.
have conversations, we actually don't talk past each other. And maybe
Mhm.
I'm not understanding exactly what you're trying to say, or I feel you're not understanding what I'm trying to say through text. And obviously I'm at work or I'm with the kids or doing
Mhm.
stuff that sometimes I'm just texting and I'm like, dang, I didn't proofread that at all. And the world's gonna have to see it as it is. And sometimes, I
Mm.
try not to, but it is what it is. But yeah,
Well,
so
you know
so I
what?
would
Real
say,
quick, that's a good point too,
yeah.
because my life is a lot of leisure, and so I'm sitting at home, reclined in a chair, and I'm looking through all the comments and all that, and I don't often think that other people are at work and texting in between, while they're on break, so maybe they didn't even get a chance to read what I posted
That's true too.
thoroughly and
Yeah.
respond. So I got to take that into account. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because sometimes I'll just read what you're saying to me, but you answered it way back when, because you get so
Mm,
many other messages as well. But yeah.
okay.
So that's part of the reason. And honestly, for the most part, especially when I actually talk to you, I don't feel you as like an enemy or a bad
Hmm.
person. Like if again, I'll go back to Matt Dillahunty, those type of people, those people, I was like, yeah, I'm just cutting that dude off. Like that's the type of stress. I was like, nah, that people that I feel are not good people. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm,
but I don't feel like you're like that. Even if I feel what you're doing is wrong, like to me it's wrong. That's my perspective. Um,
mm,
I don't feel like you're a bad person or that you have
mm.
ill intent. Um,
Okay.
I just feel like, yeah, that's my perspective. So keeping you as a
And
friend, I
can you
mean,
clear up to what you just said when you
yeah,
said,
yeah,
even if you feel like what I'm doing is wrong, it's one thing to say if you feel like I'm wrong in my position, but what do you mean when you say what I'm doing is wrong?
yeah. So just like when you say that you think pastors are you doing stuff for money, right? Like that's one of the
Mhm.
posts we'll talk about. You would say probably that that's wrong, right? Like it's wrong to misuse it. So I feel um what you're doing is wrong in the sense that I feel like if you're led astray, I believe you're led astray, and you're also leading people astray, I feel like that's
Mhm.
wrong. Like, you know what I mean? If it's like, hey, I don't believe in Christianity, and these are some of the reasons you should, think through it, like really think, because many Christians don't read the Bible, many Christians don't do Christian stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but if you're like, hey, come with me and let's go together, you know what I mean? I feel like, it's
You think that's wrong?
I think so, yeah.
So I think there's a difference between I think Brady's wrong
I both. I
versus I
do think
think what
you're wrong as
right.
well.
I know you think I'm wrong, and that's fine. I think you're
Yeah, yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
But to say I think what you're doing is wrong, that's troublesome to me because if I felt like Christianity was not true and everyone that I know and love was believing it, and I saw it being used to destroy the fabric of my society, and I got family members who are giving, I mean, money that they don't even have, they're giving it to their church. And I feel like the people who I see, they want to believe true things. And I could show them, I feel like
Yeah.
I could show them why that's not true. You think it's wrong for me to do that?
So, okay, so that's a good point. So let's say if I were to deconstruct, right? Like if
Hmm.
I were saying, hey, you know what? I studied this, I've done this, I've been same thing like you, right? And
Hmm.
I no longer became a Christian. I understand, I guess it makes sense, right? Why you would be doing it. Like, hey, I was in this not cult, but I was in this religion, and religion is man-made and it's fake. Now let me tell all my family, let me tell all my friends, because I don't want them to go through what I'm going through, right? So I guess that I can see it from that perspective, and I said that that's not wrong.
Okay.
So maybe I would rephrase it. When I say what you're doing is wrong, I do think that what you believe is wrong. I do believe you're wrong because I
It's
believe
fine.
you're wrong. I believe that you're doing something wrong. I believe it's harmful. Like, but I can give more grace and say no.
Yeah.
Now I understand why you're doing it, right? Like, because you really believe that God is not real, right? Because you
Yeah.
believe that you want to help people who may be going down that path, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if this helps because I want to give you that grace, right? I don't want to say, hey man, I think you're doing wrong. It doesn't matter to you, right? Like, I mean, that's my own judgment.
No, I think
But
it does matter because I feel like the fact that we share a world,
yeah.
I'd like us to at least agree on what things are wrong, what actions are wrong, and even if we can't settle
Well,
what beliefs are
so
wrong.
so can I add this because I think this was an analogy that came to mind. So like secular rappers that talk about smoking and drinking and women and all that negative stuff, I think that that's wrong, right? To promote
Hmm.
something that is harmful to people, I think that
Hmm.
that's wrong, right? Like, I think
Hmm.
especially when they say, I don't even listen to my music, I don't let my kids listen to my music. You know what I mean? Like, I
Hmm.
think that's even
Yeah.
more hypocritical. Um, and and yeah, because I mean, I have family that still rap, and I have friends that still rap, and they're still talking about that same stuff. And I think that what they're doing is wrong. They're leading and promoting a lifestyle that is literally going to get people hurt. Like, I've had people get put in jail and get onto stronger drugs and do all kinds of stuff because of music that I put out, my music, right? Like, they were
Hmm.
listening to me while they were committing crimes. And so when I see those people doing that, I think that that's wrong. So
Yeah.
does that kind of help? Because
It does, but let me add
yeah,
this and
yeah,
see
please.
see if you keep it on the same vibe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know very few people. I know a lot of people who've deconverted. I know very few people who've deconverted and their lives are worse.
Hmm. I'm curious about that because I saw some other people saying that. But go on, go on.
Yeah, like so I can see what you're saying about not like if you saw somebody rapping about things that were destroying people's lives, it's not just, oh, you're free to hold that position. I think what you're doing is wrong because it's destructive. When I see people who've deconverted, almost everyone that I know who's deconverted, their lives improve. The only times their lives have gotten worse is because they were so connected to the church, or
And
maybe
they
their
lost.
family ended up
Yeah,
splitting because of it. And those kind of things, it makes it harder. But for the most part, in terms of just the self-esteem, the self-image, the self-worth, the self-sufficiency, um, like almost everyone that I know who's deconverted is here when they were here as a Christian, and
yeah,
I'm and myself included. And
yeah.
so That's why I would say I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious about that too, and this is something I haven't thought through, but I am curious about that
Mhm.
because I think Eddie was saying my life has been better. That was the only one thing I couldn't kick. Just because when you say things like that, it makes me wonder what were you thinking before, like to be self-sufficient or to be in those negative things that you're just talking about.
Yeah.
No, so I know what you mean, like self-sufficient. I don't need, to worry about what God's saying or what he's doing. But what were some of the other positives you said? Um, because
Self-esteem.
yeah, self-esteem, that one too. Um, I understand if you're coming from a Calvinist background because
But not even Calvin, it's just biblical.
but that's what I mean, because what God says about us is I have atheist family that have said that, man, Christianity is so prideful. Out of all the universe and all the plants and all the animals, we're the only one that he loves and created and in his image. You know what I mean? Like what God
Well, there's
actually
that, but then
says
there's the
about
talking out
us.
of both sides of not both sides, the many sides of the different biblical authors' mouths. Because on one hand, so this is the thing. I wish you could deconvert for one day just to see how beautiful this is. Because you talk about, the esteem we should get from knowing we're made in God's image, but that's the Genesis 1 narrative.
Yeah.
The Genesis 2 narrative doesn't have us being made in God's image, it has it being made from mud. There are two different
Sure.
creation stories, and they see mankind in two different ways. And there's a
Well,
reason why I believe Genesis
yeah.
1 was adopted, because Genesis 2 was the old telling and the embarrassing telling that had a God who didn't know where the man and woman were. And there's all kind of embarrassing things in the Genesis 2 and 3 story that Genesis 1 was later adopted to correct. So
Yeah.
you can get esteem from some passages of the Bible, then you get taken down a bunch of notches in other passages.
Like which one? So I know the mud thing. So even at that, I think that's an incorrect reading. I think that Genesis 1 and 2 is supposed to be. I mean, we had this conversation before as well
Yep.
about the layer technique and things like that. But if you're talking about like verses, because I actually thought you were going to talk about verses where it says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, or good works are righteous or sinful, wicked,
righteousness are as filthy rags.
filthy rag. That's the word.
You can do no
Yeah.
you can do no good apart from me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm
I
the
thought that's
vine,
where
you're the
you were.
branches.
Yeah. So I thought that's what you were going for as well. And with obviously
All of
context,
man's thoughts were only wicked continually. Like
Yeah.
the view that the Bible has, especially once you introduce the fall into the picture, it's not a positive view.
No, so that's what I mean. So even at that, so even if that's your view, you're going for those verses that talk about, we're wicked, we're sinners, all we do is think about bad things. So that's like the beautiful thing, that what Jesus does is that it's a new creation, it's reborn, and we're now, we're not that what we used to
But
be.
guess what?
We are new creations.
Guess what? I don't need any of that though. Because
No,
if I
no,
don't
no.
embrace the fall,
And that's okay. I wasn't saying that. I was just saying, I feel like a lot of Christians, and now I'm talking about actual Christians, not Christians that in name only, like nominal Christians, but actual Christians. And these are people that I do church with, I do life with, have such a negative view of themselves. And it's not, some of it is church, right? Like negative church, like you have to do works and you're not doing good enough, you're not praying enough, you're not, you know what I mean? Like that is an abuse of scripture. That is abuse of power, because especially like a lot of people like me that grew up in homes where our father wasn't there, like our biological father wasn't there. We look to pastors as a father figure, right? And if they abuse that power, it breaks us down, because that happened, in college, that happened in other places from other friends. And I was like, he doesn't even understand the power that he has to shape someone's life, and the way that he's talking to them is destroying them. Right. I got destroyed by my biological dad. I got destroyed by my spiritual dad. Like, dang, this is messed up. You know what I mean? So that's all I was saying. If a Christian is looking at themselves as worthless, and I'll say this, we're getting off topic, but I'll say this because this actually happened. I remember me and my friend, we were in the dorm and we were praying, and I thought I was being super spiritual. And I said, God, I'm nothing. I'm a worm. I'm rotten. And he stopped me. He's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. He's like, that's what you were before Christ, right? So this is what I'm saying. I know it's funny because it's the gospel, but I'm just saying, like,
no, it's not. It's not because it's the gospel. I'm just
Okay.
you're underlining my point. So if I'm not a Christian, then I am all those things, right?
Well, not technically, right? Like, so, well, so that's a good point. So if you're not a Christian, you still are made in the image of God and you're still loved. While we were still sinners, God died for us. Jesus died for us, right? So that brings up our value. That brings up our value because while we were sinners, while you were in your mess, you were in that, you were still loved, right? So it's
But
that
do you see how
balance.
external that is?
What do you mean?
How external that value is. That's not me valuing myself. That's me saying, oh, someone externally valued me. I'm loved by them. I'm valued by them. Now I have worth, as opposed to being able to look within myself and value me for my own fucking sake, not because someone outside values me. What if no one outside values me? Am I valueless?
No, that's the thing. You're
Why?
valuable.
Wait.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
am
yeah.
I not valueless? Why am I not valueless if no one outside values me?
Because you are alive, you're born, you were created. Like just you being here, you being is enough. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think Genesis is actually saying. Right? Like if it's talking about the dirt and it's talking about that, it's not like, oh wow, we're just like this nasty human thing, because the woman is not. She was born from the rib, right? Like, but yeah, so I think I'm lag net connection. Okay, I was just reading a comment. So that's what I'm saying is I think what a lot of people, this is Christians, but you also, you're pulling pieces instead of seeing the whole puzzle, right? Like there is part of it that sounds like if you read it by itself, we are terrible human beings and there's nothing good about us. Then you read the other part and it's like, oh, we're the most amazing thing and there's nothing bad about us. But we need both. Like it has to be both. It can't just be one or the other, and either one is an extreme, right? The atheist, my cousin that had told me like, oh wow, you think you're so good, you're so selfish, you're so human centric because God loves you, he didn't love the animals. Like, I mean, you talk about that, right? Like about plants and eating plants and animals savagely eating other animals, right? Like, what the heck, God, why don't you care about them? You know what I mean? So there's those pieces that we take and we see it and we shine the light on it and we magnify it, and it's like, yes, but there is a whole nother aspect as well that I think is important. The aspect that I am loved, I am valued because I am loved, but then I am also valued because I am a creation. I'm alive.
That's still external.
I mean, well,
Being a
then,
creation is something that someone else did that gives me value.
well, so then I don't understand what you mean. So why do you have value?
I'm saying because I'm all I have. This is all I am me. I cannot value anybody. The whole idea of love your neighbor as you love yourself, it's
Yeah.
actually impossible because you're not them. At some point, you
Well,
can strive to love them as you love yourself, but you're still not going to be able to, as much as you try to be empathetic and sympathetic, you can't feel their pain and you can't experience their pleasure. You can
yeah,
experience your own. And
yeah,
so
yeah. No,
I
I
value
agree.
me because I am all that I have and all that I know. And if I don't value me, like if I
Even if
don't
no
value
one
me, it
values
doesn't
you,
matter
you
who else
value.
is.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm not opposed to that either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
Mhm.
that that's something against the Bible either, right? Like when, it says, look within yourself, those type of things as well. What was I going to say? Cause you were talking about, something, and then I think I should turn off the chats cause they're getting me distracted. Um, but so I think it is important to love yourself. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Love yourself as you love your neighbor. The whole idea of it is, this is a whole nother thing. I can't go there. That would be good, but we can talk about that later. But the idea is so Jesus actually says, I give you a new commandment. So he says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, love your enemies. But then he also says, love your neighbor as I have loved you. Right. Like, so he actually makes it even higher than what the normal golden rule is. But even in that, like, I'm not going to be able to love you perfectly, but by me calling and say, hey man, how you doing? Right? Like actually checking on you. I'll say this. I have a friend I thought about yesterday. There was a video I watched and it reminded me because it's his personality. And I say, hey, this reminded me of you. And he texts me, he's like, thank you for thinking of me, but you haven't been there. Right? He's going through like some real tough stuff right now. And I was like, dang.
Mm.
loving him the way, and so the problem is when I don't love myself, then I can't love my neighbor, right? And I think that's why Jesus changed it in a sense, because it says love your neighbor as you love yourself. Sometimes I don't love myself. I'm my worst critic, whether it's music, whether it's podcasts, whether it's being a father. Sometimes I'm my worst critic, right? Sometimes I don't love myself. Sometimes I say things to myself that my enemy wouldn't say to me, right? So I understand what you're saying. Sometimes we shouldn't or we can't love our neighbor like we love ourselves. But the whole point is that we should be loving our neighbors, right? Like, and we should also be loving our enemies. Like, you're not my enemy, but you're on the opposite side of me. And I should be loving it. And I should be like, hey man, you're sick. And then it's a good thing everybody else gave you some remedies, because I got some too. But be checking on you like after the show. Like, hey man, how are you doing? Like, how are you really doing? Like, not like, oh yeah, man, I'm cool, I'm traveling, doing this, but like, how are you really doing? You know what I mean? And I think that that's what it's talking about in that aspect.
All good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that combo. Let's dive into the to what got me in trouble and see where we end up here.
Yes. So I'll say this. So another reason is, so many atheists I talk to like to play the skeptic, and it's good to play the skeptic because, again, I'll say it every time I hear someone preach, every time I hear someone talk about a new theology, I'm very skeptical of it as well, and it's good to play the skeptic. But I feel like a lot of atheists play the skeptic where they don't have to answer what they believe. They just want to pick holes at other people's beliefs. And so I was like, hey, well, let's actually kind of have those conversations. We're not going to have it as good. I think, the back and forth we did through Facebook was really good. But so that's why I wanted to kind of have this conversation. Let's see what you believe, why you believe, and kind of just have these conversations.
Okay. And for the record, I don't think many people on my side of the fence are playing the skeptic. I think we've embraced skepticism as part of our worldview. Beliefs should hold up to scrutiny, and if they don't, I'm free to treat them like they don't.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I agree. I think we should know what we believe and why we believe it as well.
Yes, sir. So which one when we pull up first?
I don't. Is it in order? Well, let's do the tithe one, because
I just see a bunch of them. Tithe, okay.
Yeah, let's do that one first.
So these are things that I posted on Facebook that you took exception to.
Yeah. At least, yeah. Because I don't talk about everything that you're everything that you're talking about. But the ones that I feel like you misrepresent, those are the ones that I usually go. Okay. So this is the one we went back and forth for a while. But your pastor is fervently praying that you keep the faith, not for the sake of your soul, but for the sake of their salary. And again, I'll admit that maybe many, I mean, you could even maybe go as far as saying most or a lot, but I would say, so when you said this, were you saying all of them, or were you saying a lot of them, or were you being unnecessarily hyperbolic? Because that was my biggest.
I love it. I love it. Well, I wish I had it pulled up, because I would love to pull up your response. I think your response was automatically, this is dumb, and this is without knowing whether I was being purposely hyperbolic or whether I was,
I feel like you
many or most or all.
But yeah, this one, I don't know why. That maybe I was having a bad day, but this one really, I was like,
and it was Sunday when I posted this too.
Huh?
I posted this when I knew many people were on their way to church, so it was purposefully done.
That's what it was. It was Sunday, right?
Yes. So what can I say about this? I had a few people ask me, people talk about
that was wrong. See, I'll say that was wrong, right? That was wrong.
Well, if you know, the purpose of my Facebook page is to get people to think. It's to pull people out of their comfort zone, say things that are uncomfortable, just to get you thinking, number one, and talking, number two, because I think in the talking, in the conversations, that's what the post is never really the point. The post is to start the conversation. I often say this: the posts are not conversation enders, they're conversation starters. And so if you see the post and it makes you feel some kind of way and you jump in, like, I want to have a conversation. And so somebody asked me, well, they didn't ask me, they talked about their pastor, how they knew their pastor before he was a full-time pastor. He worked a regular job and didn't even want to take the pastoral role because, he didn't want that weight and all that. So he says, My pastor's not one of those. Are like, you're not talking about my pastor, are you? Another one of my friends on Facebook, a former fan of my music, he is a pastor, and he's bivocational. He's a dentist and a pastor. And he jumped on and he said, "Are you talking about all pastors? Like this is like this, you're painting with a broad brush here."
Yeah.
And I just liked comments. And I put, the little care on certain comments. I only responded to a few. And with yours, I responded to because it was, kind of emotionally charged.
It was
But one of the things I said to the person that said, "I'm painting with a broad brush," and this was a pastor who actually said that, it was kind of like his way of saying, like, "Hey man, like think about people like me." And I just drew attention to the first word, your. Who's the you? I'm not saying who the you is. That's something that you have to determine. I don't know your pastor. I can't make that statement about every pastor. But like you said in your comment, you said maybe many pastors.
Yeah.
I like this. My response to you was, how would you know which ones are the many who are like that and which are not? And if you can't know which ones are the many, it could be your pastor. You just would never know. But I think it's worth thinking about. Damn, maybe that is like, how would you ever know?
Yeah.
If it's feasible and you think that it can even apply to many, that should at least be a part of like that might be what I'm in. I might be, because my first thought when I wrote the post was I was going to say, your pastor is fervently praying that you keep the faith. I was going to say, not just for the sake of your soul, but for the sake of their salary. But then I took the word "just" out because you know how it is on Facebook. If you got too many words, you can't do the color thing anymore. So I took the word "just" out.
I
took it out because look, one more letter and it wouldn't fit with the colors anymore. So I had to take out a bunch of stuff.
You don't need
so I couldn't put the word "just."
No,
the colors draw people's eyes. But you can't do the colors if you got too many words.
Yeah. So
once I took the word "just" out, I had to think about it. Okay, are you comfortable saying this without the word "just"? And I thought about it and I said, you know what? It'll be good for the conversation. And so I posted it like it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that, I think the thing that I replied to you is that you have to follow the money. Like every church that I've been in, they do a yearly budget and then they show like, hey, this is where we put the tithes. This is how much the pastor gets. This is how much the facilities cost. Like all that stuff is supposed to be on there, right? Like you have to follow the money and you can kind of know. And you can see, other stuff as well. There's other indicators, but I've been part of many churches. And we ran a church as well. And so that's why I was saying, like, I know this is not the case because I know of many examples. And honestly, I don't think many of the pastors are doing it just for that. I'm not saying that money doesn't influence them, right? Like, because I've been in churches as well where they were like, hey, we need more people. Hey, we need to be talking about tithe better. Or, you know what I mean? Like I've been in those conversations and where I've heard them talk about that. But then I also been in many other churches where that was not the case, where pastors were bivocational, pastors were working full time, or their spouse was working, you know what I mean? Where they didn't rely on church or the income and things like that, where they're like, bro, I don't even get paid. I'm doing this because I love people and I'm trying to help them as well, right? Like you yourself, right? Even if you had no Patreons and you didn't have a book and you didn't have all that, like you would probably still do this because you love to help people. Right. It's the same thing for Christians as well. Right. Like I didn't go to Bible college because I wanted to get rich and get money, because obviously that's not what happened. But I expected that there would be money. Right. I expected that my bills would be paid as well. So not saying that money is bad or that it's not part of the equation at all. But but again, it's a broad brush. And I think that was part of the thing as well.
Well, I definitely think it's part of the equation. I don't think many people take into account how much a part of the equation it is for their pastor. I've spoken to many pastors this year, even who tell me. You about to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I'm reading the comments as well.
Okay,
maybe I need to stop.
I've spoken to many pastors this year who've told me how hard it's been for their church to recover from COVID.
Yeah.
because so many people during COVID stopped coming to church and they watch church online. And without them coming to church, they're giving less, and it's hurting the salary of the pastors. I've heard from other pastors who I can't say who,
Yeah.
I've heard from people in the Christian music world who part of the reasons why they wanted people to respond to my book and my Ichabod channel, as they were listing the reasons why they wanted to put up a standard against my onslaught. It wasn't just, oh, because people could risk their salvation or you could cause people to die. It was, and this is how I make my living. Like it was a very real recognition that me doing what I was doing could take money out of the mouths of people who are in ministry.
Yeah. No, so again, I've seen the ugliest side of Christianity, right? Like being in the background, knowing people and all that. So I'm like I said, I know it's absolutely true, important. I'm just saying, as you put your pastor, so meaning all pastors, you know what I mean? It was just, I think that was the biggest issue, is the broad stroke.
Yep.
And then obvious, and then the way that you phrase it, where it's saying basically they just want your money. They don't care about the soul. You know what I mean? Because you didn't put the word just. But it is what it is.
All right, where are we going next?
Yeah, go to the next one. Let's go to dangerous, because I think.
Okay. I don't know what any of these are, so I'm waiting to see what it is.
Yeah, me too, because I just kind of put something, and we'll see it when we get there. But you wrote it. All right, so this is one that we kind of got off track too, because I think we were talking over each other. Christian, here's why religion, including your, maybe I should let you read it because it's your word.
I can't see it. That was real small on my screen.
Christian,
Can you see
here's
better?
why religion, including yours, is dangerous. The Bible thumpers are preparing to use Romans 13 to green light the state to do God's righteous, atrocious will against anyone they perceive as a threat to their God's kingdom.
That last line is a threat to their parentheses God's, because they're saying it's God's kingdom, but it's really their kingdom. Maybe I should have put their in parentheses and left God out, but right. And for those who don't know what this is, this woman here, can you guys see my cursor on the screen?
I cannot.
No.
So I don't know if they can.
So the white woman down in front.
There's only one woman on there.
Yeah. So she's facially reacting to the words of the white Christian nationalist Joe Webbin, as he's talking about he's trying to get people to go join ICE so that they can deport people because immigration is evil. And he says you can be God's avengers with a gun if you come join ICE and do what the state is doing. Matter of fact, this same guy, Joe Webbin, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, when ICE in Portland shot the priest who was out there with his priest collar and priest robe on, ICE shot the priest in the head with a pepper ball. And somebody took they made a meme of that. And they said, this is a shame. Joe Webbin took it and said, yes, this is a shame. Not a shame that the priest got shot with the pepper ball. He said, it's a shame that the state has to do what the church should have been done. And so I linked that to what he's saying here about come join ICE and be God's avengers with a gun, and said, I can see what's about to happen. They're about to start using Romans 13 to excuse whatever the state does as these are God's righteous servants, because Romans 13 verses 1-5 says the soldier does not bear the sword in vain. Whatever authority, earthly authority there is, it's there because God put it there. So whatever the laws are, whatever they do, if they happen to use their sword or gun, it's not in vain because God put them there. And so this was a warning from me that anytime you use religion, I don't care if it's Christianity, Islam, whatever it is, anytime you go to an ancient book to get your philosophy, your morality, your sociology, your politics, and you don't possess the ability to question or challenge that because it's from God, you remove yourself, you remove your mind, your reason from the equation, and you're left with whatever the book says. And to me, that's dangerous. That was the point of this.
Hmm.
Whereas your point was, I'm taking Romans 13, or maybe he's taking Romans 13 out of context, right?
Partially. So I like that you
Okay.
clarified at the end, because that was kind of my point too. Because what you said is absolutely true, right? If we take this book and whatever it says, we have to apply it or believe it, that's wrong, because we should be questioning, what does this actually mean for us? What does this actually, like the application part, right? Like we can take that, and that's why slavery was permitted and produced, and Christianity are like, oh yeah, we can have slaves, stuff like that. It's like, no, that's not what it means, right? That's not what the
But says
scripture is
who?
saying. Well, that's my point. The context, it says so. Like that's why I was saying, like, about Romans 13, you have to read Romans 1 all the way to 12 to actually know what he's talking about. If you read Romans chapter 12, then you see what he's talking about, being a living sacrifice, laying down your life, loving others, and all these other things. If you just take that one verse by itself, then yeah, you can permit anything. And so that the other point I was trying to make is that you said this is why religion is dangerous. And my main point was like, yeah, but anything can be hijacked, right? Like the Bible can be hijacked and taken to mean,
Oh, yeah.
that was the main point, is that anything can be hijacked. So for you to call out Christianity or religion, I feel like, yeah, but anything can be hijacked. Science.
I disagree. I don't think anything can be hijacked the way religion can be hijacked. Because if you've got a God, well, because we don't have a God. You cannot produce your God, neither can the Muslim. So we don't know that we have a God. By faith, you have a God, but we don't know that you have a God. What we do know is you've got men speaking for the God. That we know for sure. Right? We know for sure we've got men speaking for a God. The God part, we have that by faith.
Well, I mean, they're not speaking for God. You mean like when they're teaching or writing?
When they're writing, when they're preaching, right? They're saying this is what God says. Thus says the Lord.
Okay, so that's what you mean by speaking. Yes, I would agree.
Right. So we've got thus says the Lord, but we don't have the Lord. All we've got is the sayers for the Lord. I don't think anything else in this world can be hijacked the way that kind of system can be hijacked. Because now it's not just you saying this to me. You're saying that you're saying this with the authority of a God that you can't produce. And I can't question you, because questioning you is questioning that God. Nothing else in this world is as dangerous as that. Partially because you might say you'd be taking this verse out of context to read it this way. But somebody else can show you, well, no, I start here and I end here. And in this context, it does fit. And there's no arbiter between the two of you to say who's got it right. That's what makes it dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is partially the issue, because of the denominations, and anybody can kind of go and start their own church and go and believe whatever they want, right? Like there is no authority, right? Like in a sense, like back then they were killing people if you said heresy, right? Like there's no one to say, hey, this is the right understanding. Anybody else, we're going to get rid of them. So, and then also, like, you know what I mean? So that's what does make it absolutely difficult. And I mean, we can think about the same thing as other people as well, because if we believe that there is no God, but then we're reading other books of ancient people that wrote hundreds of years ago or 50 years ago and they're dead, we can take them out of context as well. And we can say, hey, this is what this person means, and then run with it. And then it becomes a whole nother thing. I know
we can take them out of context, but what we can't do is we can't say God's behind what they said.
No, but if we don't believe in
that removes so much.
No, it does. You're right. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm just saying it can also be that was my point. You're right. They're different levels, and I'm not going to try to say that they're on the same level, right? Like a God, an ultimate being versus somebody I really look up to, right? Like that's not, they're not the same level. I was just saying anything can be taken out of context. Anything can be misused. Anything, especially if they're not here and we can't ask them. And even sometimes people are here and they do ask them and they're like, oh, you said this and you meant this. And I took it as this, like, bro, that's not what I said at all. You're taking a soundbite. You know what I mean? That was my point. And again, a lot of the stuff that I'm pushing back is not saying that I disagree with you 100%. I just disagree with either how you said it, how you meant it, or how it can be taken. Sometimes it gets into longer discussions, like on that one. Yeah. My main point was like anything can be hijacked. It's not fair to say religion is dangerous but everything else is not dangerous. My thing is like, hey, if we're gonna say religion
But yeah,
is
but
dangerous,
see what you did
anything is
there.
dangerous.
I didn't say that everything else was not dangerous. I
No,
just said this is why religion is dangerous.
yeah. Well, and that's what I was saying. So basically I was trying to ask and have you say
Mhm.
whether or not you believe that, because I don't know if you actually believe that, right?
Now what?
Right.
That things
That
other than
nothing else
religious
is
can be
dangerous. That other things are equally dangerous or dangerous as well, because they can also be hijacked. Because your focus was on emphasizing religion, like basically religion is bad. It's so dangerous. We should
right.
do away with it
Right.
because it can be hijacked.
Well, I don't even know that I'm saying we should do away with it. I think we should be careful with how we lean on it. That's why I said, if you're getting your sociology, your anthropology, your science, if you're getting it from religion, it's dangerous because you've got people to this day who won't teach evolution, who won't even assent to looking into evolution because the Bible says something different. That's especially dangerous. It's more dangerous than anything else. Does that mean get rid of it?
Wait,
I
what's
think
more dangerous than anything else? Not teaching
religion is
evolution or
more.
just that
No,
idea?
no. What I'm saying is the idea of religion,
Okay,
of
okay. Yeah,
getting
yeah.
your
No, I agree.
philosophy, it's more dangerous because it's got this stamp from on high that once you figure out what you think it's saying to you, and there's all kind of ways to do that, it's going to come with a divine stamp of approval, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
talked
no,
about the
I
context.
agree. I agree, because even though I believe in Christianity, I mean, I see the same thing with talking to Muslims and talking to people of other religions as well. Like I agree
Yeah,
in general that premise, right? Like I believe
it's
it can be.
uniquely. I think. Would you agree though with me when I say it's uniquely dangerous? It's
I
not
could
like
say
dangerous like other things are. It's
I
uniquely
would say it's
dangerous.
on definitely on a different level. Yeah. So if that's what you mean
Okay,
by
I
unique, yeah,
appreciate
I
that.
would say yeah. Versus me reading a book from Marx or whatever
Hmm.
and believing it and taking it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, oh, let's see. Please read another book beside your the people in the comments are so funny, man. They're so funny.
I love the community. What's up, y'all? Keep it going. Where we going next?
Let's see. Let's go to worldview.
All right.
I wouldn't say exclusively dangerous. I think that's false. Let's see.
I can read this one. I can see this one better.
Okay, cool.
All right. So I said, atheism is not a worldview. Atheists have a variety of worldviews. You cannot say what all atheists believe in the same way that you can say what all Christians believe, because even though Christians disagree about almost everything the Bible says, at least there is a book tying believers together with certain ideas. Whereas the only thing atheists have in common, by definition, is the lack of a belief in a God. And when you think about it, atheism is the default position for every human being ever born.
And then
Should I read the other part?
yeah. I would read the other part.
All right. So this was my comment to Joshua Caldwell, who's been on this show before, in a debate that he and I have been having with one of my friends, Cruz Cordero. I said, because they have been arguing about whether or not atheism is a presupposition or not. I said, actually, atheism is the opposite of a presupposition. It is to not presume. I should have said to not presuppose. It is not an action, but an inaction. Most Christians think that atheists are actively trying to unthink or unbelieve God. No, belief is an act. Atheism is the absence of that act. So it's not an action, it's an inaction. It's not a presupposition. It's declining to presuppose. I'm not going to presuppose a God, whereas the theist is going to presuppose a God.
So there's other questions that I had. The reason why I brought this up, but I was thinking as you were talking about that, because you're saying inaction, but by saying I don't believe in this God, isn't that kind of an action? Like to
No.
say like I don't believe in Thor, or and
Mm,
that's again, that's a separate thing. I'm just kind of curious, just on the last part
Um,
because it's kind
to
of an action. Like,
disbelieve, here's the thing. I don't think you can disbelieve things that you don't have evidence for. I mean, I said it a different way. When you disbelieve things that you don't have evidence for, it's not really an action. It takes action to disbelieve things that you actually have evidence for. Like if I show you my Dundee from the office, right? If
yeah, I
I
was
put
trying to
my
see.
Dundee and I say, "Do you believe I'm holding a Dundee?" Now you've got to do something to remove this from your. You saw it. You saw me lift it up. You've got to do something. Until I produce something for you to actually have to work with, your disbelief is not an action. You don't have anything to go on. And so when you present to me a God, it's not until you present that God to me, there's nothing I can do. I have to, like, there's no action I have to do with a God that I can't see, hear, touch. Like, I have to engage my belief to actually believe in that God. That's an action. Or you might say, yeah, but you can suspend your disbelief. Is that an action? Maybe you could say suspending your disbelief is an action, but unbelief in itself is not an action if there's nothing that's prompting belief. If
Yeah.
that
So the
makes sense.
reason I'm asking because I know that there's a soft atheist and strong atheist, which is
Mhm.
agnostic, right? Basically, being agnostic, I don't know if God exists, right? I think an
No, it's
agnostic.
not soft atheism is not agnostic.
Well,
Soft
some
atheism is I lack belief in a God,
okay.
as
You
opposed
know
to
better than I do. Yeah.
a yeah. Strong atheism is I'm positive there is no God. It's a so
So that
maybe the strong atheist could say
yeah,
that's an act.
that's an
I'm
act. That's what I'm
actively
thinking, and I think that that's a good
yeah.
distinction. Um,
In the
it's
comments,
funny.
y'all check me if you feel like I'm not representing that right, but I think that would be the way I would say it is strong atheism is
Yeah, I would agree with
a
Michael
positive
Apple
belief.
about
What is he
unicorns.
saying?
Sorry to break your granddaughter's heart about that. They're arguing about unicorns and rhinoceros,
Oh,
but
okay.
but but yeah, okay. So that's and again because I was in during that debate with Bart Ehrman when
Mhm,
he debated Dinesh D'Souza, and he said he was a
mhm.
weak atheist, or they call it weak atheist because he says I don't know, so more agnostic. So that's why I said it that way
Okay.
because that's what he said.
Yeah, got you.
But so even at that, so maybe you would say strong atheism would be more of an action, right? Like I know God does not exist versus I don't believe God exists versus I don't know, so all those
See,
different
I don't
things.
even know. I don't even know if the strong atheist would say that it's an action as
And
much as they
they
would
probably
say,
don't. The
I'm
reason
positive of my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stance.
Well, the reason I would say they probably definitely don't because they don't want the burden of proof, right? Like I know Matt
Yeah,
Dillahunty,
yeah.
Alex O'Connor,
That's fair to
others,
say.
they don't want the burden of proof, right? And that's kind of why we're
Right.
having this discussion because many
Yeah, that's fair to say.
they're skeptical. They don't want it like, hey, I don't want to have to prove I want to poke holes, but I don't want to have to prove
Right.
what I believe. Um,
Because you can't, well,
it's
I
yeah,
was
I
going to
know
say
what you
you
mean.
can't prove a negative, but you actually can prove a negative. You just need you need parameters. Like, so speaking of Matt Dillahunty, right? There's no $50 bill in my pocket. I can prove that negative, but the reason I can prove it is because my pocket there's parameters. It's a
There's
small
parameters.
space to search for that $50 bill. If I said there's no $50 bills in the universe, well, you can't prove that negative because you'd have to travel the universe. And the same thing with God, saying there's no God, it's almost impossible to prove because you would almost have to be God. You'd have to be everywhere to know that there was no God there. So, yeah, proving that negative would be nearly impossible. Um, and so, yeah, you're right. That's why most even strong atheists tend to word it in ways that don't put the burden of proof on them.
Yeah. Let me see. Can you bring it back up? Oh, so I was just curious. So what is your worldview? Because I kind of understand because I think even in that post I was trying to consider it as a worldview. It can be a worldview, but it doesn't have to be a worldview, right? Like atheism
I
can,
don't
if
think it can
you
be a worldview. It's so small. It only pertains to one thing. How can it be a worldview?
one aspect of the big questions, right? Like that we ask, why are we here? What's the meaning? All that stuff, right? It doesn't answer all
Yeah,
those to make it a worldview.
it
So
doesn't answer
I would
any.
agree.
It's not an answer. It's a rejection of an answer.
Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah. If you present it in that way, then I would agree. Yeah. It's not a worldview. It's yeah. Because
Yeah,
and
it's
there's
just
these
saying I
materialists.
don't buy the theistic worldview. That's all it's saying.
Yeah. And it's there can be many denominations. That's why I said you have your own denomination, right? You have
Right.
the
There are spiritual
materialists, you have
atheists.
the nihilist. What?
Yeah. They're spiritual atheists.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one. That was more of
Mhm.
like questioning, like what did you mean by that, and
Yep.
what does that mean to you? So that one again.
Cool.
Let's see. Let's do using us.
Okay. Newsflash. God's not using you or your favorite minister. Y'all are using God, and some of us know it.
I know
I
somebody
like the post.
on this chat that is using God and balling for it.
Really?
You right? I mean, you're making a good. I don't know how many book sales you get. I can't say you make a lot.
You don't ball from book sales unless you're
That's
like on the
true.
New York Times best-selling list for like a year straight. You don't ball. You make like 40 cents or 90 cents from a book that costs $10. So
Dang,
you don't
for
ball
real?
on
I
book
know it
sales.
was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad.
I mean,
So
it
it's
might
like
be a little
the
bit more than
music
that
industry?
with Amazon. Amazon gives their authors a 70-30 split,
Oh,
and the production of the book has to come out of your portion of that
that's a
70-30.
shame. That's a
Yeah.
shame.
So
So, but yeah, but I mean, in a sense, I mean, you have your podcast, you got your people supporting, and it's about
this is a
God.
labor of love, bro. This is a labor of love. I'm not getting paid off.
Yeah,
If you see my Patreon, most of the Patreon, the biggest list are the $5 supporters. Then you got the
dang.
$10 supporters. You got
So
Thurgood
what do you?
knocking it out the
Well, you don't have
box.
to tell me. So what do you do for work, or do you work full time, or you're retired? You don't
I'm
have to.
mostly retired. I'm
Okay,
semi-retired.
that's what's up.
I'm a content creator. I create all kinds of content. Some people know more about that than others, but
Okay. You can
yeah,
leave it at that.
I
Yeah.
have all good.
Okay, so let's
Um,
talk about this one. Because so yeah, so when this, I guess when you were talking about this, you are using God. Are you talking about like people? Okay. So I think we did have this discussion because it was right before we got into the last time we talked. So maybe we don't need to get into it too much. But what was your purpose? What did you mean by this? Because I misunderstood it and I meant it only on money, right? Like I
mhm.
was focused on the
Oh
money
yeah,
aspect.
this had nothing to do with money, actually. Nothing at all to do with money.
No, James Preach. I would say no. Sorry.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think what was happening. So there's certain ministers, certain pastors that come up on my feed. And whenever I look at the comments on them, I know there are very many Christians who feel like God is using this minister in their lives, using the minister to confirm their worldview, to inspire them, to give them reasons to keep, whether it be remaining faithful in their marriage or being a good employee, being good parents, to just move to go on another day. Pastor, God used you. And what I'm saying is, from my point, God is not using anyone. There is no God. I think people are using God. God is the, I call God sort of like the placebo effect. If I can tell you that there's a spirit within you that's going to enable you to conquer that sin you've been struggling with, right? So the Muslim who stops drinking or stops beating his wife and says, because of Allah, I was able to da 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 da. The Christian would say, ain't no Allah. So then, okay, but this person stopped abusing his wife, stop drinking, stop. So how did the person do it? What? And the person is crediting Allah. The Christian will say one of two things. Either the Christian God did it, but the Muslim doesn't know the Christian God's name yet. So the Muslim is giving praise to the wrong God. And one day, Jesus is going to swoop in and rescue the Muslim, and the Muslim is going to transfer that praise from Allah to Jesus. That's one way the Christian can handle why this Muslim stopped drinking. It was really my God, you just don't know it yet. Or the Christian can say, that just sounds like psychologically you needed a motivating factor. And Allah became the motivating factor for you. You used Allah to do what apparently you had the ability to do all along. You just didn't have the motivation to do it. And Allah became that for you. And I'm saying the Christian who would take that route and say that about the Muslim or the Hindu or the Buddhist, oh, that motivated you to put the drugs down. That motivated you to become more kind. That motivated you. That was your motivating. It was a placebo because there was no real thing there. I'm saying the same thing that Christian would say to somebody of another religion, I would say to the Christian, that you're using God as your power source, but it's not a real God. It's what the concept of God is doing for you psychologically. That's how you're using God.
That's right. Yeah. I remember we had this discussion on the last one. We can go to the next one because I think we already had.
Well, what do you think about that?
No, I mean, I would definitely disagree just coming from my actual own life. And I know what you're saying. Like, no, you had to dig in because I tried to dig in and I tried to believe it and I tried to. And it was something that happened that there was I wasn't even trying to happen at that point. It just like God just came through.
But I guess my question is,
yeah,
what do you say to the person of another religion who's got experiences just like that, but they attribute it to some other source?
Yeah. I might go with the first one, honestly, because I've thought about that when where some people say, well, yeah, you have a testimony, right? Because the idea is like a person with a testimony is never at the mercy of a person with an argument. And then there comes the question, well, what do you do when a person has another argument like your argument or experience like your experience, right? Testimony like your testimony. You were on drugs and then God saved you. Now you preach. And then same thing for that Muslim. He was on drugs and now he's preaching. I don't see too many of those going on, but I know that they are out there. You know what I mean?
There's tons of them.
There might be. I just haven't, like me personally, I haven't actually experienced it. You know what I mean? I've had conversation with many Muslims. It's just not their testimony. You know what I mean? Like,
all right. And if you did, you would probably take the first approach of your God did it, but some other guy got the credit for it.
I would ask him questions and kind of see like what really happened. But probably, I mean, God works in.
Why not take the second approach of placebo effect?
Because I'm gonna see. I haven't thought through enough to say that. Yeah, they just made themselves do it. Just because I've been in situations and I know a lot of people in situations where they try to pull themselves up from their bootstrap and it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like it just like I have a lot of people.
Here's an interesting story. One of the stories that always made me think a little harder about it. When I was in Cross Movement, one of the guys in Cross Movement, Tonic, used to tell the story about his dad. You know, he grew up living between his mom and his dad, different places. And his dad was a heavy drinker, like just nonstop heavy drinker. And then one day, not as a Christian, just as a man, his dad decided, I want my son to go to college. And from now on, all the money that I would take to buy liquor, I'm going to put that money in a jar, start saving it for my son's college. And before he knew it, he needed more than just a jar. He saved up enough money to put his son through college because he stopped drinking. No God, nothing supernatural. He was motivated by wanting his son to go to college. He needed a different motivating factor. He got it.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
No, it definitely happens all the time. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Because I mean, I was motivated listening to music, right? Like inspired, like, oh, I'm going to take over the world, or watching a movie that was very inspiring. So I've done that many times. But so that's what I'm saying is I can't just attribute everything like, oh, well, yeah, he just made himself do it. Cause that's what happened with my dad. He was an avid smoker, and my niece, his granddaughter, said, I want you to stop smoking so you can see me graduate, right? And like
Mm.
that, it's not. He tried for years, tried to patch, tried this, tried that. Just from one day to the next, he quit cold turkey, right? That's
Yeah.
not easy to do. A lot of people struggle with it, and it just happened. Was God involved? Who knows? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
So
I'll
I
tell
think,
you this.
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so for stories are different things. Like I know
Mhm.
from my story, it was a God intervention. It wasn't just me
Okay.
trying, because I tried over and over. I tried to do, all the stuff that I thought that can help, and it just was not happening. Right. Like it was a cold turkey, everything, stop drinking, smoking, cussing, all that stuff all at once.
Mhm.
And it was God. It was an actual, like, me calling to God, like, hey, I'm gonna chase you and see what happens, type of thing. And it happened. It wasn't a coincidence. Um, that's from my story. And I think that's kind of why,
Gotcha.
because I've experienced that, I can't just put that on somebody else and say they haven't experienced anything. I would have to meet them, talk to them, and see what
Mhm.
they say.
Okay. Not truthful.
Um, let's see. Where's the other one? Yeah, we could do not truthful.
All
Oh,
right, we're
actually,
coming
no,
to a
no,
close,
sorry.
folks, just in
We are.
case.
Say it again.
I was just telling folks we're coming to a close. We are
Okay, okay.
sinners. You want to go there?
We are sinners. Yeah, let's do we are sinners, because I
Okay.
think this kind of has to do with what the last one. This is actually what I thought you were kind of pointing at.
Okay. So I posted this back in August. How I know God don't give a fuck. He left you to be his representative. Think
Dang, he
about what
said it.
you know about you.
We got to put like a PG.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not PG.
I'm
Nah,
so
you're
used
good.
to.
You're good.
Are you offended by?
Nah,
Are you
nah.
offended by offensive language?
No, I'm not.
I spelled it this way just in case I was going to trigger a governor on Facebook and they wouldn't show my post to that many people. That's why I spelled it this way. But I'll censor it for your virgin
Nah,
ears.
you're good. You're good. I'm messing with you because I know that that's probably one of the things you had to let go of, right? Like feeling bad about doing that, feeling bad about saying
You
certain
know what?
things.
There's still certain songs that have always been in my head, rap lyrics that as a Christian I used to censor them, and now when I sing those rap lyrics in my head, I still censor them a little bit. And so
Yeah,
in
because
the
I know
chat, I
you
don't know if
censored
anybody out there.
things. Yeah, I censored things before, but I didn't know it was because you wanted it to reach more people when it might not. I thought it's because you're still working through that.
No, I would use the word fuck with God in every sentence I could on Facebook as often as I could because I want Christians to realize nothing happens. But I don't do it because I don't want something to happen, which is Facebook to not show it to them.
Yeah.
But I think I want Christians to really wrestle with the fact that Bible God doesn't do anything. There's no lightning, there's no judgment, there's no nothing. So but yeah, so that was the post. How I know God doesn't give a F. He left you to be his representative. Think about what you know about you. Why do you want to talk about this one?
So what did you mean by that? Think about what you know about you. Like, is it you're talking about like how bad we are, things that we've done, things that we think about? Like, what do you mean by that? And then what is your
Whatever
view on
everybody's what is my view on what?
humans? Like, we were talking about it earlier about how we view ourselves and things like that. Like some Calvinists would say we're just terrible worms. You know what I mean? Like nothing good about
Yeah.
us.
Well, yeah, I'm intentionally playing on the Christians' sympathies at this point. Because even though I don't have a low view of humanity anymore, I think Christians rightfully have a low view of humanity. If they read the Bible, you're going to have a low view. Paul says, I know that in me, that is within my flesh, no good thing dwells. For the good that I want to do, that I don't do, but the evil I don't want to do, that I do. Oh, wretched man that I am. So if you're viewing yourself, you're so bad, you've got to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Like if that's what you think about you, I know how I thought about me as a when I was a Christian, right? I needed God's grace every step of the way. There's a Christian preacher, I think it was Chuck Smith back in the day, or maybe Chuck Swindoll, who said, I have to repent of every good deed I do. Because even in my good deeds, there's pride, there's self-seeking, there's man-pleasing, it's almost impossible to have a high, matter of fact, you can't have a high view of you as a Christian. Anything good about you, you get it from Christ. It's nevertheless not I, but Christ that lives within me. There's nothing good in you. Anything good about you comes from Christ. So I feel like when I said this post, I was playing on the Christian who's living under that fear of, I'm a piece of shit. So if you're thinking that about you, it should make no sense that a God doesn't care if he leaves people who, whatever you know, whatever your faith has trained you to think about you in terms of how inept, how apart from him you can do nothing, how whatever you are. You probably have had situations where you shared the faith with somebody and they came to faith and you're like, man, I can't believe God used me. I mean, look at me. Just last night I had an argument with my wife, or just this morning I was that. Think about you and whatever your faith has taught you to think about yourself. Think about how much you might let people down if they wanted to depend on you. I mean, you just talked about a friend who told you you haven't really been there. Well, you can't be there all the time. You've got your own family. You've got your own life. You've got your own job. You've got your own. Think about how, even if it's not sin, just think about how limited you are, limited in your ability and limited in your knowledge. You don't know what you need to know. You don't study to show yourself approved as much as you should. Yet God left you here to be his representative. You cannot convince me that a God cares about being faithfully represented, accurately known, and adequately worshiped if he left the human beings that you and I know to be his representation. Now, if he had done this, now there's something he could have done. He could have actually sanctified Christians. He could have made them not just new creations on the inside or seated you in heavenly places. He could have actually removed sin from your life here and now, such that you would be the kind of representation that makes me say, damn, their God must be the shit. But to leave Christians around here half sanctified, every week there's a new youth pastor or a pastor who's getting caught in a child sex scandal and all kind, like, to leave this kind of representation, it would be almost impossible, if not impossible, to make me think the God who left this church, these Christians around to represent him, cares about being worshiped, known, and believed based on them. That's why I made the post.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would definitely disagree with what you're saying.
Talk about it.
But I understand what you're saying. No. So again, I think we had this conversation on there where we were talking about the idea that God uses us. God does use us, and God does love us, and God is with us. And so a lot of what you're saying it's interesting to me, because it does seem like you have such a negative view of humans and people, because if God does not exist, then we are some of the worst creatures ever, right? We're misusing people.
No, hold on. Keep in mind, Steve, I'm saying that.
No,
I
know what you're saying.
What the Christian thinks.
Yes.
I don't have that view of humanity.
No, you don't. But if what you're saying is still true, without God, it still has to be true, right? The fact that people are misusing people, they're creating false gods so they can take money. They're misusing people so that they can sexually abuse them, right? Like, humans suck, right? Like, if God does not exist, wait,
some of us suck more than others. Some
wait. Yeah, I don't know if it's yours or mine. Check. I hear it a little bit. Talk.
I just switched the mic in. Yep, somebody else said my mic was fuzzy.
Okay.
Is it back?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That was me. I said
it. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Guest. Yeah.
Try to take my good deeds, man.
That's what atheists say whenever people thank God for stuff that other people did. That was me.
But you were about to say something.
I don't remember what I was saying.
So anyway, so basically, I'll go back to what I believe. So I do believe that it is a privilege, right? Like it is a privilege. It's an honor for God to
Mhm.
love us, to believe in us, to care about us, and say, I want you now to represent me. And do we fail? Absolutely. Do we mess up? Absolutely. Do people hijack it for their own? Yes. And I would agree. I would say that, yeah, I think um obviously after the New Testament, we don't see Jesus, or we don't see God striking down people like Ananias and Sapphira. Like that was like a one-time thing. We don't see that anymore, right? And even at that, it's like you really want God to be striking down people left and right. And so that's another thing. I'm like, he doesn't do that. Even in the Old Testament, New Testament, the Old Testament, he didn't even do it that often. But when he did it, um, many atheists are going to say God's evil monster for doing that. But for us to look and say, okay, there's this God, and again, it was always his plan. When he put Adam and Eve in the garden, that was the plan. Like, hey, you're my representative. You're gonna represent me on the earth. You're gonna be
Mm.
fruitful. You're gonna multiply. You're gonna take care of that. You're gonna do this. Um, so I would say, even though, so as far as, so I say, to me, they're separate things, right? Like, why doesn't God stop the youth pastor from abusing his youth? That is separate, and that is important, and I think that is something to keep in. But for you to say, just like, hey, you had an argument with your wife, and then you're preaching and things like that, like, you're basically trying to disqualify us and say, hey, you're not good enough, which is religion. That is the negative things that I see pastors do, right? Like, I see that you are pulling on those heartstrings, but you're also representing Christianity in the worst way possible, because you are also not a Christian, but you're also trying to put that, right? Like, hey, you had issues, you had these thoughts, and you're disqualifying us as well. And I feel like that's what religion does. And
Mm.
that religion needs to be spoken to, right? Like, those pastors need to be spoken to. Those um that kind of Christianity, a lot that you call out, I call it out too, because I don't think that that's right. That's negative. And I'm not saying everything's going to be happy and joy and all that, but no, we need to step it up as well. But I don't,
Mm.
does that make sense? Because that's a whole nother thought that I maybe have to develop a little bit more.
It does in a sense. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Put yourself back in high school, right?
Yeah.
You're walking with your friends. You all walk past a group of young ladies. You see one that you're really interested in, but you're a little, for whatever reason, maybe you're shy, maybe you just feel like this is the way you want to do it. You want to send one of your friends to represent you. Hey, go tell her I'm feeling her. Now you got one friend who is faithful, trustworthy. You know he's going to do what you ask him to do. You got another friend who's tried twice to steal your past girlfriends. And you know he's envious of you. You know he's going to twist your words. Would you send that friend to go speak for you?
Well, I mean, if you're putting it in that perspective, then I feel like the faithful friend is Jesus, right? So God did send a faithful friend.
Well,
Uh, you know what I mean?
but
I mean,
Jesus is sending you. Go into all the
yeah, but
world,
God sent
baptizing
Jesus.
in my name.
Hey, calm down. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good perspective on it, right?
No, it's not. No,
No,
it's not
because
because
who were Christians supposed to look up to? Jesus. Who are Christians supposed to emulate and follow? Jesus. When we follow man, we get into trouble. When we follow, right, like when we always follow the man
did
and
Jesus
things
know that the
get.
church was going to misrepresent him as bad as it is?
Say it again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the very
Did
first part.
Jesus did Jesus know that the church was going to misrepresent him as bad as it is?
I'm pretty sure he knew, because they were fighting in the midst of them. He just,
Right. So
gave
once
Peter
again,
some
would
praise, and then
you
he was.
send the friend that you knew was going to butcher your message, put himself in the place, like he's not even going to talk about you. He's going to represent himself while he's there. Would you send that friend? And if not,
I would send
isn't
Jesus.
that what Jesus is? Say again?
I
You would
would
send
send.
Jesus, but Jesus is sending you. He's not
Yeah.
here. He's sending you.
Okay, all right. So let's go with your analogy, because that is true, right? Like, my whole argument was that, yeah, that God is sending us, and I think it is still. even though we misrepresent it, even though we mess up, even though we do this, I still think that it's still an honor. It's still something great, and that's the way that God wanted to do it. What we
And
do with
maybe,
it,
but
what we do
but
with
if,
it,
my point
messed up.
is, but God can do that if he wants. That's fine.
Yeah,
My point is,
that He doesn't care.
how is sending the worst representatives
We're not the
who are
worst
going to
representative.
do you think the church is unified today?
No, absolutely not. But you're saying we're the
Didn't
worst
Jesus
representative.
pray that his disciples would be unified and love one another the way that
Yes.
he and the Father are?
Yes.
And that by the way they love each other, the world would know that they were his
Yes.
disciples.
100%.
Right. So has the church done that?
No, but that's what I agree with. I agree that the church is not living up to what it's supposed to be.
And
even,
Jesus sent them on purpose, right?
but
Knowing that
even
they would
though,
misrepresent him.
even though we don't do what we're called to do, we see what we're called to do, right? Like we see
That's
what we
fine.
should assimilate.
My point is, can you claim that Jesus cares
Yes.
if he knew the church was going to misrepresent him and still sent them anyway?
Yes, because I mean, maybe if you're saying like you want him to do certain things, and I don't think that that's,
like I said, he could have
your
simply
example,
sanctify everyone who believes to the point where they're living in sinless perfection. That would be a representation.
They will be in heaven, but not in earth.
But that's not representation. We don't need representation in heaven.
No,
because some of us ain't gonna make it there. We need representation here.
But all right, so I heard this quote earlier, and so it was talking about like natural theology, right? Like when you have natural theology and you see natural theology, you're either going to turn towards God or away from God, right? You're going to say, I see the earth, I see the plants, I see all this stuff, DNA, and you're going to turn towards them or turn against them. More evidence will not actually prove that God is real, right? If you have more evidence, if you have more things, then it really depends on your heart, right? Like I've seen some really bad examples, and I still know that God
totally disagree with that.
No, well, you don't think if you get more information that you're going to believe God more, or you're going to still push against it and say,
I stopped believing because I got more information.
That's
I wanted, but no, it's not that more information was going to like.
So
if the information was in God's favor, I would still be a believer. I followed the evidence where it led. I didn't follow the evidence because, that's going opposite of God. I'm going with that. I'm following the evidence wherever if it leads to God, that's where I'm going.
So what I'm saying is that I don't think that you are following the evidence. Like I know that you say you are, but I'm saying like I think you're following your emotions, to be honest, based on the conversations that we had. Because you have mentioned like, all right, we talked about like the four things, and I'm not going to bring it all the way, but like knowledge and scripture and all that, right? Some of the conversations that we had, a lot of it goes to what I feel, what I experience, and that is the highest. Yeah, and I'm not saying I do it too. I'm not saying you're the only one. Like I do it too. Like my experience leads, right? My experience with God is what led me to follow God in the first place, right? I'm not saying you're emotional. I'm just saying that I don't think it's as much knowledge as it is experience. Your experience was this: God, if you're real, I'm going to do something bad and you're going to strike me down. He didn't strike me down. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And if you're real, God, you're going to strike. That's your experience. This is all experiential. This is not knowledge.
No, you're confusing my deconversion with my last ditch efforts to get God to do something to stop me from deconverting. Go ahead. Me saying God, if you're real, you would stop me from doing X. You wouldn't let me get on Facebook and lead people astray. You wouldn't let me get on an airplane to go sin in California. If that was not why I don't believe. That was I'm already done with this thing, but I'm going to give you one last chance to prove to me, to Ananias and Sapphira in me, do something to make me say, damn, maybe he is real, even though the evidence goes against him. So you're confusing that stage of my deconversion with what led me to deconvert in the first place.
Well,
it's not an emotional thing.
Well, but it's an experience. I said emotion, but I meant experience.
Well, it's not even an experience thing. It was the Bible does not add up. This cannot be true.
Okay, so what part of the Bible did not add up? I know there's a bunch of them, but give me one or two that.
Have you read Let There Be Gaslight? I don't remember if you read it.
No, I haven't.
Oh, see that? Well, how are we? This is our fourth or fifth conversation. You've not read the book where I lay out why the Bible falls apart. Before I get to the experiential, God didn't show up things. One of the things I write about in the book, I don't write about many of my experiences. One of the experiences I write about in the book is when I was writing the book, I took a writing vacation. I was down on Virginia Beach, and I'm sitting out on the beach from 5 p.m. till 1 o'clock in the morning. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, it dawned on me, I'm the only one on the beach. There's no one for miles and miles, no one. And for the first time in almost a year, I prayed and I said, damn, God, like, do you see what I'm actually sitting here? I got my laptop. Do you know the damage this book can do to people's faith if you let me do this? And I got up from my beach chair. I can't swim. I would drown in a bathtub. I got up from my beach chair and I walked into the ocean. And I said, God, you could Jonah me right now. You could stop me. You don't even got to save me from the fish. Stop me from writing this book. But I don't want to die. I'm not suicidal. Like, spit me back up on dry land. I'll believe you, or whatever. I go and I stand in the ocean. The waves are coming in. I'm up to my waist in the ocean. I still got the video on my phone. I'm looking at the moon. I'm looking at a ship out further out in the sea. And nothing. And I go back to my chair and I keep writing. That was on the tail end of the Bible having fallen apart for the last 8 years of my life. So the experiential things that you're talking about, that's not why I don't believe. That's just, I guess he's not real because he's not doing this. He's not doing that. I had already taken the Bible completely apart by that time. And so if you read just the first maybe 5 chapters, the book is 15 chapters long. The first 5 chapters of Let There Be Gaslight. If you read the first 5 chapters, yeah, I'll send you the audio, but I'll send it to you just see in case you want it.
I appreciate that.
The Bible fell apart for me. That's why I don't believe. It wasn't an experiential thing. It was one verse,
because I know part of it was, at least when you talk to, I forget his name, was Romans, where it says that about evolution, right? Like, was that the one? Was that the verse?
That was the main one.
Okay.
Evolution, taking apart Genesis 1-3, and that taking apart Romans chapter 5. Once that was gone, I was out the door, and I tried for 6 years to stop that from taking the rest of the Bible apart, but it was already a done deal at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's sidebar, but
yeah, I got a few other questions, but so even on that, because obviously what you talked about right now was all experiential, and then if you're talking about like the knowledge piece, I definitely 100% disagree with your understanding of Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and
you haven't read it yet. You don't know my understanding yet.
No, from what you're talking about here and what you mentioned through previous things about how they're separate and then they're added and they're taken and all that. But you're right. I don't know what you actually further believe. But all right, so let me kind of do these like a lightning round. I know we're wrapping up. So if God were real and Satan was real, how do you think he would? What do you think he would do to lead people astray? And obviously, I know you have other questions. I kind of know what your question is going to be, but what would you think he would do to lead others astray?
If Satan was real?
Yeah.
What would Satan do to lead people astray?
Yeah.
Well, I do have other questions before I can answer that because...
Yeah. I knew you would.
Yeah. The question itself is offensive to me. Because for Satan to be able to do anything to lead people astray, God would have to allow it. So I don't know what Satan would do, but the idea that a God would allow it is just problematic in and of itself. but I guess it just off the top of my head, what would a Satan do? If Satan was real, what Satan would do to lead people astray would give people with an antithetical message the ability to do signs and wonders so that they would follow those signs and wonders. If there was a real Satan, I would expect something like that.
Huh. That's interesting, because if that were to happen, a lot of atheists would actually believe in God, right? Because if they see,
and a lot of Christians would follow. They wouldn't believe in God. They would believe in whatever the Satan was.
Whatever
doing.
the Satan was. Yeah.
And
so
I think a lot of Christians would too.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, right. I mean, a lot of them will be led astray, right? Whenever he does come, when the Antichrist comes and all that, but that would be kind of an issue, right? Like if Satan was around giving people miracles and powers and all that, and then knowing that all these atheists, like, hey, just show me a sign. There's a person doing signs. Like, now we believe. I was just thinking about that. Because so the reason I bring that up, going back to the very first thing we talked about, which is why I think what you do is wrong, but then really saying, I think that you're wrong in your beliefs. But for like a lot of people watching, like there's 136 comments that I haven't looked at because it was distracting me and I was not tracking with you like I should be, right? This would be one of those things, right? Like somebody out there just kind of like, hey, I'm with you. I feel you. I've been there. Now let me kind of like, so in a sense, is it safe to say that you would be doing the devil's work?
I'm missing what are you saying what I'm doing,
what you're doing, or what has happened to you? I guess what like a Christian, a solid Christian, like we can be tempted with money, we can be tempted with fame, we can be tempted with all these things. And I'm not saying you're doing the devil's work. Obviously, you in a sense, but I was more so talking.
You think I am? You do think I am?
I'm not saying
it's
that.
Okay, it's fine.
No, well, I won't say that just because I haven't actually thought about it, right? Like,
okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just say stuff just to say it, because I can say it right now. Like, yeah, you're doing the devil's work, and maybe you are. I haven't thought about it to say, yeah, you know what? I think he's straight up working for the devil, because then I would attribute for negative motives, and I don't feel that about you, right?
Well, I could have positive motives and still be deceived by the devil.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So I just won't label it that. You know what I mean? Just because I don't want to label it like that. I don't feel comfortable.
Okay, so then what is the question that you're asking?
All right, so let me ask another question because it's connected.
Hold on. I want to understand that question. What were you actually asking about the devil?
So let me ask the next question because they're kind of linked, and then I can kind of explain it. So you would admit that the process of deconstructing is like hard, nerve-wracking, like it's very anxious, right? There's a lot of emotions involved.
Yes.
So would you? You probably wouldn't say, but would you say that you're taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities in their circumstance? Like this is a very touchy thing, right? Like for certain people, they have lost family, they have lost friends. Most of us don't, because we're, Christianity is not such a big thing like Islam or Mormonism, right? Like it's not so connected, but we have. Right. I lost friends and family by becoming a Christian. And I would imagine you lost friends and family by becoming an atheist and going against Christianity. Right. But wouldn't, in some senses, would you say that this is taking advantage of people in these vulnerable places? Because you're like, hey, just come to the side, just come over here, even though they're like, I guess it's not like really a balanced approach what you're doing. You're saying, hey, God's not real, come through. Versus like, hey, let's talk about this and see. Maybe you do become a Christian. Maybe you become a stronger Christian. Maybe you just say, hey, that was all fake anyway. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that? And again, I want to be sensitive in saying that because, again, I don't think you're doing it with a negative, like, a bad heart, right? Like, I don't think you're trying to hurt people. So it might be.
Well, let me say this. I think it could hurt people if they deconvert before they're actually ready to deconvert. And because I care about people, I actually try to put speed bumps in front of people so that they don't deconvert too soon. There are people that call me up. I don't know if you know the former Christian artist, JR.
Yeah.
He called me up telling me he thinks he's where I am with the faith. This was 4 years ago. I spent an hour and a half on the phone trying to talk him back into the Christian faith. When I realized that he was not having any of those answers, then I began to have conversations with him about why deconversion might make sense. And I walked with him for 2 years behind the scene before he was ready to tell anybody that he was not a Christian anymore. So I don't hear somebody doubting. I hear from people. I just heard from, I won't say who or anything like that. I hear from people every day about somebody else who is on the fence or who is doubting or who just bought my book or who wants to buy my book, but they're afraid to read it because they're already shaky. I never rush to that person to help them deconvert. I always only remain available for anybody who wants to talk. And I have this channel so that people who might feel alone don't feel alone, because I know how that feels. And I do what I do on Facebook because I think people need to question. I think the Christian faith and all faiths deserve to be questioned. But if anybody feels like this is unhealthy for them, I encourage people to block me, to mute me, to unfriend me. I don't want anybody to live with stress or live with any kind of, if you're not ready to have these conversations, I'm not dragging anybody into them, but I remain available for everybody who wants to have them. Yeah. So no, I don't think I'm taking advantage of a single soul.
That's what's up. So again, that's why I didn't want to label those things, because the more I talk to you, I feel like, yeah, I don't feel that trying to take advantage of people, in at least not on purpose, right? Like, but then it's good that you're saying, hey, no, I do put speed bumps in there as well, which is cool. And I would say, yeah, outright, no, I definitely do not love MAGA, and MAGA does not love me.
Somebody put that in the chat.
Yeah. I was like, oh, like,
let me scroll up real quick and see if there's any super chats as we get ready to wrap this up.
Yeah, do your thing.
I don't see any super chats in the Jones. So any last thoughts? I mean, I know you had more to get to, but it's already been 1 hour and 40, so we can wrap it here.
Yeah. Zach, I would say, yeah, I don't like when Christians do that either as well. I try, and again, y'all can be the judge. According to the chat, I'm not as balanced as I would think that I am, because I feel like I try to be balanced in the sense that I try to take both, right? I want to see the good and the bad, and in my own position as well. So that's why when I say certain things, I'm trying to dive through it and not just give you just an answer, right, to shut you up, because that's not my goal. But I wanted to talk about the hard things because I think that they're important to talk about. But I do think that there are good explanations that actually resolve a lot of things. Someone said they tried to send you a super chat and it wasn't going through. Error. Oh, there you go.
Hey, I don't want to try to like get money out of y'all real quick, but can one person, I don't know who, anybody who feels like, just send $1 super chat just so I can see whether the super chat thing is working?
Just send like a $50, $20.
Chris said I tried sending a super chat, but it kept giving me an error. I didn't get any alerts from YouTube that my account has been disconnected, so it should be going through. Let me address one thing real quick, Steve. So can we talk real quick about this? You charged me with creating an echo chamber on Facebook. And I think that what I'm doing is the furthest thing from an echo chamber. I allow any and everybody on Facebook to comment, and I'll dialogue with them. I'll go back and forth at least 2 or 3 times with anybody who feels like, if I feel like they have a substantive comment, I don't. All right, thank you, Monique, and
hey, look, man, I'm giving you money.
Plants. All right, I got 2 super chats, so we know it's working. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. He says, read Let There Be Gaslight. Sure. I'll send you the audio version if you want, just to make it better.
Yeah, if you can do that. I have tons of books that I'm reading through, and I hate that I need to make more time. So I guess when
super chats.
When you're talking about the echo chamber, right? Like the echo chamber. And so there are some aspects, because again, I told you that I even looked up ChatGPT, because when you were pushing back, I was like, am I not understanding what an echo chamber is? And even like with the worldview atheism thing, like there's some aspects that it is and some aspects that it's not. So when I see an echo chamber, honestly, one of the best ways to have an echo chamber is to have people that disagree with you, so that you can show people, hey, this is how you diffuse that. This is how we keep saying that. And so even in your chat, again, reading your Michael, yeah. Even in your chat, like, it's everybody's saying the same thing, right? Everybody's like echoing the same thing. You're saying the same thing as them, like you're, but the fact that you're having me on, it is what, that's why I said on Facebook it's different than on your conversations with Christians, because I feel like this is where it shows, okay,
but what this is you not using the platform right. If you know you're coming onto a Christian an atheist platform, you should be tagging your Christian friends saying, hey, come get in the chat. I don't have reach to many of them. I put it on Facebook because I want the Christians to come through. Every time I post one of these, I say, see you in the chat. I can't control whether or not they come or don't come and get in the chat. And sometimes they do. And they'll go back and forth with people in the chat.
So I'm not saying it's bad. That's not my point. My point is that you're surrounding yourself, which is normal. You're surrounding yourself with people that think like you, to say what you're saying. Like it's you're all saying the same thing to each other, which we do in Christianity, right? I'm not saying we don't, right? Like if I'm around Christians and then we're talking about Jesus, and then if we're around other people, and if on my channel, I don't have a lot of subscribers. If it was on my channel and I had my subscribers just all up in the chat saying, yeah, you know, Brady's tripping or whatever, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't call that an echo chamber, though. I think that's just what happens when people go.
That's what I'm saying. That is not. That's why I said this. Facebook, I mean, YouTube is not an echo chamber. This is where it shows like, hey, this is not an echo chamber because we're having these conversations. What I was saying is what makes it an echo chamber is that everyone is agreeing with everyone except for when, you know, obviously other people like me jump in there. But it's hard not to be, in the sense that the aspect of echo chamber that I'm talking about is being with your people, around your people, you know, for us, by us type of thing. Like we're here and we're just, but that is a good thing too, right? Like that community, some people were talking about that as well. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you. I guess.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think echo chamber is not being inclusive or silencing contrary voices, as opposed to giving voice to them.
Well, so even that, I think even that, you are in a sense silencing, because we're posting and you're silencing them. You're not just cutting me off and like just kicking me out, but in a sense that can be a type of silencing, right? Like, let me shut the person down and show you how to do it. Say it again.
Are you talking about on Facebook?
In general. I mean, even on here. I mean, but yeah, Truth Seeker.
Yeah, I don't see me shutting anybody down on Facebook.
You're not silencing them. So I guess when I say silencing, when you say silencing, you mean like just quiet, like don't let them talk?
Right. I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand what you mean when you say.
So like when you go to like God Logic or other Christian apologists, what they do, which is, I'm not saying it's bad. Again, I'm not saying it's bad, but like, hey, let me show you how to talk to a Muslim. I'm going to have a live Muslim on the show. I'm going to shut them down. I'm going to answer all their objections. I'm still building the echo chamber because I'm showing Christians how to do this, right? Like an apologist is that's what they're doing, right? Like you're answering those objections so you can build your echo chamber. And like if you do cells or any kind of pyramid schemes, that's what they do. Learn the objections so you can silence them, right? Like everyone does it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. Christians do it all the time. It's apologetics, and they also have that aspects of an echo chamber as well. Do you know what I mean? That's again.
I hear. I guess I wouldn't call it an echo chamber, as long as you're allowing the other side of the. Like, it's one thing if I speak for you and I, create, straw mans of your position, and I'm talking over you, and I'm very intentional to let people have their say, have their space, whether it be on Facebook or whether it be on here. I shut up a lot and just let people talk, whether I agree or disagree, until I feel like, okay, I've got to address that. Yeah. In the comment sections, I hope people are allowing other people to have their say, even if they disagree. I guess I just see echo chamber different, even though I know what you mean when you say it can be strategic to let the other side in, just so that you can show how to deal with them. I don't know that that's echo chamber though, but I understand what you're saying. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. That's all I meant. Again, a lot of what I'm saying is not really like to say I disagree with you, but I disagree with aspects of what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Got you.
But yeah.
Okay. Hey, Al Benson, thank you for the super chat. I guess you just got to the point where we were asking for them. Appreciate you guys. And hey, man, I really do appreciate you coming on to have this conversation. Even hit me up saying, hey, I want to talk about some of these cringy posts of yours. I think it was good because this is the kind of engagement that I made these posts for. And I'm happy to have the conversations on Facebook. I'm happy to have them here. And yeah, I'm glad I didn't block you.
I'm glad you didn't block me too.
We can keep it going.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna let you go, man. Go ahead and have a great night. And everybody who came through, thank you for sticking with this chat as long as you have. If you didn't catch it live, drop a comment underneath just to support the channel. Let us know what you're thinking. And I'll catch you guys next for Exit Strategy on Thursday. Peace.
Peace.